So, are you videoing?
Yes, I am.
Right now, we're just weighing out the meat, and we're gonna do an 80-20 mix of meat to fat for the ground meat. So we're gonna weigh out 4 pounds of elk meat and then 1 pound of fat. So right now we're at 3 pounds and 15 ounces. So we just need another ounce of meat. So that's gonna give us 4 pounds. We're just gonna put that in here. And then we're gonna weigh out 1 pound of fat. And then we are gonna assemble the grinder and then start running it through. So we just cut up 1 pound of fat to 4 pounds of meat. So that's gonna give us 5 pounds of ground meat in total with an 80-20 ratio. So now I'm gonna show you how to assemble the grinder. So you're gonna start out with this piece. And this is the funnel where the meat goes in. And you're gonna make sure that this leverage is up on the unlock position. You're gonna put this in there so that it's flush with this piece. And then you're gonna push down the lever, and it's not gonna go all the way into, it's not gonna click into the lock position. It's just gonna be hard to push down, but you don't wanna push it any further. So if you can see, it's not all the way down to the lock. It's about halfway down, but that's good enough because it's not gonna come out. So then you wanna take your blade, and the square side of it matches with that square piece right there. So you're just gonna put it on like that. And then you have 2 of these, and this is what causes it minces the ground meat into the finer strips. And you want to start with the more coarse one because the meat will pass through easier.
Yeah.
And if you want to grind it a second time, you can use the finer one. And it has this little notch in it right there. And there's a little notch, or there's a little spot for it right there. And so you just want to, hold on. You want to slide it so that it goes all the way in, right over that. And then you want to take your cap and screw that on. And then you want to put your tray onto the funnel. It slides on just like that. So you'll put your meat on here and then slide it down into the funnel. And then to push the meat down to where it starts getting ground up, you use this thing to just push it down like that. And then these 2 are only for if you want to make sausage. And then there's 3 different of these sizes. And then yeah, this is for if you grind it a second time. And that's all the pieces. So if you're making sausage, you want to turn it to the stuff mode. And that just means it's going a little slower, so it's easier to stuff the sausage without meat spilling out everywhere. And then if you're grinding, there's the grind mode, so you just that means it's a little faster and more powerful. So that's what you use for grinding the meat. And then if anything gets stuck or clogged in there, you can use the reverse mode to get it unclogged. But a few important things. One, before you go to the reverse mode, you always want to make sure it's in the off position for a bit so the thing stops spinning before you go to reverse. And then also you never want it on reverse for more than 5 seconds. And then another thing is you should never run the grinder while there's no meat in it. So you never want to just turn it on and have it running while there's nothing in there, because the friction and it can just break from that. We just do all the meat first, okay, and then all the fat.
Okay.
So what you want to do is turn it all the way to grind, and then start pushing the meat in. sometimes it kind of grinds itself. Sometimes you really have to push hard. So now we have all the meat and fat ground up, and every time when you finish, there's always going to be just a little bit left over in there. But that's fine because that'll come out when you start putting meat in for the next batch, and you can just use it for the next batch. So now that we have all our fat and meat here, you just kind of want to hand mix it and get it as evenly incorporated as possible. And then once we're done with this, we're going to grind it through a second time to give it a really nice, even mixture.
Oh, you have to do it twice then. Okay.
Yeah. Well, you don't have to, but I think it comes out a lot better when you do it like that. Okay, so we just hand mixed all of our ground up meat and fat together, so now it's mixed in pretty evenly, but we're gonna put it through a second time, and actually we're gonna use our finer mincer. I think that's what it's called. So we're gonna take this one off, set that aside, and then we're gonna come and grab this one, and it's gonna go right on like that. Screw this back on, and now that our meat's already ground up, it should come through very easily. So we're just gonna start putting it in the funnel before we turn it on, because you never want it to be running with nothing in it, if possible. And just put a little more on the tray, and then turn it on. And like it'll spew out a little bit once you get to this point, but I mean, you don't want to go crazy with it. And
There
that's
you go. How much? What do you think that
5
is?
pounds.
That's 5 pounds right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
So after I ground it all up, I just unscrewed the cap and pulled out the blade and the mincer. And then you can also pull out, this piece and just clear out any residue meat and fat. And then like this piece didn't really get ground up, so we won't keep that in there. We'll save that for the next batch. But then all this is good to go, and then you can just...
Is that good to go?
Yeah, that's fine. It's still ground, it's just not double ground, so it's fine. And then because we're gonna do a new batch now, we're gonna put the coarse piece back on. Find a notch. Actually, blade goes on first, and then put this back on. Yep. That. Then you're ready to go through the second batch.
Rock and roll.